Well, it is recap time. I'm just going to quickly recap the 6 questions you should ask yourself before you assign something as homework. And hopefully these, no, 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 no. Hello, everyone, and welcome to my channel. I've been gone for a couple of weeks. So much has been going on. So shout out to all the assessment coordinators out there, everyone who has been putting in grades for the end of the semester. I'm sorry, the end of the quarter. It's just been super busy, but I am back. Now, before I move on to this week's topic, if you have not already done so, can you please subscribe to my channel? And then if you like this video, please be sure to click like. If you would like more information about this week's topic, you can always check out my blog at xjonespennies.blogspot.com. And if you are interested in contacting me, you can contact me via my website at xjonesconsulting.weebly.com. Okay, so on to this week's topic. This week's topic was inspired by 2 things, actually. Number 1 is spring break, because I am officially on spring break like so many of you. Happy spring break to everyone who's off this week. And it was actually inspired by a Facebook post that popped up in my memories. So this week I'm going to talk about to homework or not to homework. So are we assigning something for homework or not? Should we just let that one go? I'm going to give you 6 questions to ask yourself before you assign something as homework. And hopefully this will help you reevaluate what you're assigning, why you're assigning it, and whether or not it really needs to be assigned. Okay, number 1, does it reinforce something? So you really need to think about whatever it is you're assigning. Is it reinforcing some new skill that you've introduced? Is it reinforcing something that you had to reteach? But does it actually reinforce something? If it does, then it does need to be assigned. If it doesn't reinforce anything, then you're just assigning something for the sake of assigning a homework task. Number 2, does it help your students complete some sort of task that you have laid out for them? So are students reading a section of their biology book to prepare for a lab that they have tomorrow? Are students reading 2 articles because they need to be prepared to debate the next day in class? So are you assigning something that's going to help you with some sort of instructional task that you have planned for them in the future? If it is, then it's something that needs to be assigned. Number 3, is it realistic to complete? So this is something that really makes you step back as an educator and really reflect on what you're assigning. Are you assigning tasks that aren't really easy or feasible for your students to accomplish? As an example, a few years ago, I would assign students to complete an assignment where they were making documentaries. So this required, internet access, computer access, cell phones, cameras. However, are you assigning a task like that and your students don't necessarily have access to all of those things? Are you assigning your students a task that requires them to travel all the way across the city in order to complete? So you really need to think about, what am I assigning? Number 4. Now, number 4 is something that a lot of people have to take a second to really think about. Is it routine? So I know lots of instructors who assign work because in their syllabus it simply said that they assign homework every day. It's spring break and I always assign a spring break packet. So are you assigning something simply because it's a routine that's part of your classroom? Because you're going to find that you're assigning tasks that don't necessarily need to be completed, but they're just something that you're assigning because you feel like it needs to be done. So if you're assigning it as part of your routine, then no, it doesn't necessarily need to be assigned. Number 5. Now, number 5 is definitely going to be a very sticky one, but are you assigning it as punishment? So I know there are lots of situations where perhaps you haven't finished doing everything you want to do during the day. Maybe the kids were really squirrely that day, or you just couldn't get through your task, and you say, you know what? I'm assigning this class assignment as a homework assignment because we were not able to finish this in class. If you're assigning something as a means of punishment or control, then it does not need to be assigned. You are not extending control into a student's personal life. If something has happened in your classroom, then whatever's happened in your classroom needs to be addressed in your classroom. It's time to step back and reflect on what's happened and how can we go back and we fix those problems. And number six is one of my favorites because I always hear parents talk about this, parents who are educators or parents who aren't educators. Is the assignment actually timely? And so what I mean by that, are you assigning something that takes 5 hours to complete at home when realistically you're giving 50 problems and they could practice with just 5? You really still have to consider students and students' lives. When they leave school, they still have time to spend with their families just as you do. They're involved in additional activities. They may have tap that they have to do, or they may have a sports team that they're part of. It's not fair for students to be up until 1 a.m. completing 5 hours of homework when they really didn't need to complete 5 hours of homework. So really look at what you're assigning and ask yourself, is this something that takes 10 hours to complete, 2 hours to complete, or 30 minutes to complete? And make sure you assign something that's timely. It's going to be short and it's going to be powerful and allow the students to practice what they need to practice, but it isn't necessarily going to take up unnecessary time. Well, it is recap time, so let me quickly revisit those 6 questions you should ask yourself before assigning something as homework. Number 1, does it reinforce something? So is it reinforcing a skill that's been newly taught in class? If it is, yes, assign that as homework. Number 2, does it help your students complete some additional tasks? So if you're assigning reading that they need so that they can do the next assignment for the next day, then absolutely, that is something that should be assigned as homework. Number 3, is it realistic to complete? Are you assigning something that can realistically be done by your students at home? If it can't, you probably shouldn't assign that as a homework task. Number 4, is it something that you're doing simply because it's routine? Don't assign homework just because it's part of your normal routine. Assign it because it's something that students really need to do to help them practice skills that they need for class. Number 5, is it punishment? Are you assigning something just because of something that went wrong during the day? Never assign homework as punishment. That's unfair to the students. It's unfair to you. And number 6, is it timely? Don't necessarily assign something because if you know it's going to take 5 hours to complete. Make sure it's short and it's powerful. Well, guys, thanks for tuning in this week. If you like this video, please be sure to click like. If you haven't done so already, please be sure to subscribe to my channel. If you would like more information about this week's topic, you can always check out my blog at xjonespennies.blogspot.com. And if you're interested in contacting me, you can contact me at xjonesconsulting.weebly.com. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I will see you next time.